Thwip thwip, Brick Fanatics, we are here with a full review of every collectible minifigure in the new Across the Spider-Verse Collectible Minifigure series. No, it's not Tom Holland gracing your screen, it is, of course, your friendly neighbourhood Spider-Man. And yes, in case you are wondering, this is an incredibly uncomfortable costume, and it makes it very difficult to handle minifigures when I've got these gloves on, but I'm going to do my best here. There are 12 of these adorable little spider-themed minifigures which are going to be hitting store shelves in blind boxes from the 1st of September. Maybe you've seen the photos of these online and you've thought to yourself, I wonder what they're actually like if you get them hands-on. Well, I've got my webbed hands on these little minifigures, and I have to say, although I am incredibly biased, I think that they are fantastic. I cannot stress that enough though, I am incredibly biased. Into the Spider-Verse is my absolute favourite film of all time, bar none. Across the Spider-Verse is also good. I do feel like it suffers from a little bit too much bloat, and I really think that you can feel the crunch that the poor animators were subjected to in creating a vast array of different worlds, hundreds of different spider characters, and maybe way too much stuff for any one film. But we're not here to talk about films, we're here to talk about LEGO, and I'm very well aware that some people watching this video, like myself, are going to be enormous fans of Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse films and want to know how well these characters have been translated into minifigure form. And some people watching this video won't care about that at all and just want to know how good they are as LEGO minifigures in their own right. To that end, we are going to go through each and every one of these 12 minifigures. I'm going to tell you how well I think that they translate the character from the film, but I am also going to tell you what I think of them as LEGO minifigures, and if you are the kind of person who doesn't really care about all the Spider-Man stuff, whether or not they're worth picking up for you. I think, interestingly with these, the ones that have the least to do with the Spider-Verse films, the characters that are kind of fringe or just little blink and you miss it cameos, those are the minifigures that the wider general populace of LEGO fans are going to be more interested in. I've got him in my hand, so we might as well start with the man himself, Miles Morales. This minifigure is just called Spider-Man. He is not the strongest, I have to say. And it is not anything against this minifigure itself. It is a problem created by the fact that we've seen Miles Morales in LEGO form, especially this Spider-Verse inspired Miles Morales, so many times before. For many years now, ever since Into the Spider-Verse, the LEGO group has been giving us a Miles Morales minifigure who wears a hoodie and shorts and looks very much like the Leap of Faith scene from Into the Spider-Verse. And that is a brilliant minifigure to have. I really adore that one. And the challenge with then making a collectible minifigure for Miles Morales is trying to do something different with this character that makes it feel worthy of the collectible minifigure treatment and makes it stand out and be something different to all of the other various different incarnations of Miles Morales in LEGO form that we've had before. Because we've even already had another Across the Spider-Verse Miles minifigure in this year alone. I like the hairpiece, but it is the same one that we get with Spider-Man versus the Spot, the other set that released for Across the Spider-Verse this year. The thing that really makes this one stand out is that Miles is midway through doing his zappy thing, his venom strike, or whatever you want to call it, but it is increasingly just a kind of an electricity power rather than anything to do with spider venom. So you've got some nice printing on the torso, on the arms here, showing this little electricity zap in motion, and then he's got these blue hands to kind of signify that he's doing a zappy thing, although it does kind of just look like he's wearing medical gloves. This one is, as I say, not the strongest. There's nothing really wrong with it, and I would say that if you are a fan of Across the Spider-Verse and you don't already have a Miles minifigure, then absolutely this one is going to be well worth picking up for you. It's just that if you've already got one or more than one Miles Spider-Man minifigure in your collection, I feel like you can maybe kind of sleep on this one. It depends. It depends on how much you love the character, and it depends on whether or not it's actually something that you feel like you're going to get value from. I don't feel like in and of itself, if you've already got a bunch of Miles minifigures, you need this one, and I feel like in terms of its quality as a LEGO minifigure in its own right, if you don't have a strong connection to this character, this is not necessarily the strongest of the bunch in this particular series of collectible minifigures. Sorry to start on a bit of a downer one there. As I say, nothing really wrong with it, but nothing particularly exceptional about it. Let's move from that one to an absolutely fantastic one, Spider-Punk. This is one of the strongest in this series. It has so much character and charm. It is absolutely befitting of one of the standout characters from Across the Spider-Verse, the film. This is Hobie Brown, also known as Spider-Punk. He doesn't believe in rules, he doesn't believe in consistency, and he sees everything negative as a metaphor for capitalism. This character proved so popular that he is getting his own spin-off film, although I really hope that we get Beyond the Spider-Verse, the next full Spider-Verse film, before they get too heavily invested in that one, because I would rather have a conclusion to that story than have Hobie go off and have his own little adventures on the side and then not actually get the finished story for the main trilogy. But whatever, that's not my choice. The good news is that I think that this is a fantastic minifigure. If you're looking at this and you're thinking, oh, is the camera slightly out of focus there on his face? It looks a little bit blurry. No, that is the minifigure face. He's got this kind of spray painted kind of a DIY look to him, which Hobie has in the film as well. Aside from that slight fuzziness to the face, I've got to say the printing on this one is absolutely exquisite. If we talk about this just purely as a LEGO minifigure and leave aside all of the source material here, I think that this is wonderful. It calls to mind a lot of the punk stuff that was done with video, and this can feel like a successor to that in a lot of ways. And if you have some of those punk sets and you want another punk minifigure to go alongside it, this one is absolutely a definite easy choice. This is so nice. We have here dual molded legs, we have a printing on the sides and the front of the legs, we have printing on the arms. All of that printing is absolutely fantastic. And in the box you have his mask, and you have a maskless face, you have his metal mohawk that goes over the top of the mask if you want to put that on, or you've got his absolutely brilliant custom hair element, which is just voluminous and wonderful. I really love this. By and large from this series, in part because of the characters that appear in Across the Spider-Verse, there's a lot of fantastic new afro hair that you will be adding to your collection, and that is absolutely wonderful. It's great to have some new different types of hair elements in LEGO. Now, I forgot to mention, but there is a reason I forgot to mention it. Miles comes with an accessory. It is a little black spider. It is the same little black spider that you have had in a bunch of LEGO sets already. It would have been nice to have had some special unique 42 printing on it or something to mirror the spider from the Spider-Verse films. There's none of that. It's a very bland element to have in there as a little accessory. This minifigure, Hobie Brown, comes with this fantastic guitar element, which, you know, we've seen the guitar element a bunch of times before, but the printing on this, again, is just so wonderful. There's so much detail in there. It really feels very punk. Absolutely super strong minifigure. I really love this one. I think that you're going to love it too, either if you're a fan of the character or just if you really like cool, expressive minifigures in their own right. Next up, we're bouncing to another one, which is, I think, another big main character from the film, sure, but a little bit of a letdown in minifigure form, certainly in collectible minifigure form, simply because we've had this character in LEGO form so many times before. It is Spider-Gwen, aka Spider-Woman, aka Ghost Spider. Now, this is definitely the nicest Ghost Spider or Spider-Gwen that we've had in LEGO form before. She's got dual molded legs, she's got printing on the sides and the front of the legs, she's got printing on her arms, she's got a lovely custom hair element. So this is definitely a cut above the previous versions of Ghost Spider that we've had in minifigure form, certainly. But beyond that, especially if she's wearing her mask, she just kind of looks like the others. And unless you're really looking and trying to spot those details like the printing or the dual molded legs, you might not even necessarily notice those things. So I feel like there was an opportunity here to, I don't know what, do something slightly different. I don't know how you would improve on this. This is the thing. Like, because these characters have been done so well in minifigure form before, trying to add to them beyond just giving them that extra level of detail and polish and extra printing is a fool's errand. There's not really a way to elevate this character, and that's a problem maybe with the character and the choice of having her in this series rather than anything else. But of course, she's a major player in the film, so you absolutely have to have her in this series. The new hair element is nice. Hopefully that can find a lot of different uses in various different people's LEGO collections. She also comes with an accessory, which is a photo of her and Miles together. I guess that's a reference to the photo that she and Miles have on their phones in the previous film, but it's not like the strongest element. It's nice. It's better than just a generic spider to have this little printed piece, but also it's not like the most exciting accessory that we have in this series. Again, this is one where I feel like if you are a big fan of the source material, if you don't already have a lot of different Spider-Gwens, then fair enough, you're going to love this one. If you like having that extra level of detail, fair enough. If you're just a fan of LEGO and you're not super into Spider-Man, I don't think you really need this one. I think that if you have any other Marvel superhero LEGO sets in your collection, then you might already have a Spider-Gwen, and that might well be sufficient for your needs. Let's go for another good one. I really like the Prowler here. I'm biting my tongue with the Prowler and how much I'm going to say about this character. If I keep things vague, hopefully I can avoid spoiling the film for everybody, but I'm also aware that just saying that there are spoilers relating to this character is in and of itself a spoiler, so apologies for that. What matters is this is a really cool, faithful interpretation of this character. He's got a custom mask element that comes in the box. The previous ones that we've talked about, Spider-Punk, Spider-Man and Spider-Woman, all come with their own faces without a mask in the box and hair, and then they have their masked form. This one doesn't have an additional head element because he doesn't need one, because his mask is one piece, but he does have a second hair element, and so you've got some really cool braids here, which again adds another cool different type of hair to your LEGO collection. He's got a vinyl record as an accessory as well, which is nice to have. He's got this collar, and he's got printing on his arms and legs. He's got dual molded arms as well as printed arms, which is neat. I really like the facial expression here. I think that that captures him and the difference between this character and another different character in this series. And I also like that he comes with a pair of Thanos gloves. And I think that that is a really good reuse of an element that we've seen for different Marvel uses in the past. I don't think that we needed something custom for this, and I think that this is a really strong, solid minifigure. Moving right along, I wanted to do one that I think a lot of people are going to sleep on, and I don't think that you should. This is one that I really love. It is Sunspider. Now, she's a blink and you miss it character in the film. She is in it for seconds, if that. She has one line of dialogue, she is a cameo and nothing more. In spite of that, this is actually one of my favourite minifigures of this collection because of how vibrant and eye-catching her design is. Instead of the traditional red and blue Spider-Man outfit, she's got an orange look to her with like a darker orange and then black, and that really works in LEGO minifigure form. This is a really cool looking outfit. I think that the colour scheme alone here just mean that if I'm looking at a collection of these all together, my eyes just can't help but be drawn to her. She looks just so neat. Her hat can only be backwards unless it is pulled right down over her face. She does not have a second head element in the box. She cannot take off her mask, at least not without you taking the head off of this piece and then putting a different head onto the minifigure instead. She has these neat crutches, which I think are pretty cool, and that's fantastic if you're looking to add a little bit more diversity and a little bit more representation of disabilities in your LEGO cityscape. But just all around, a minifigure that I think is going to be one of the underrated gems from this series, because I can imagine a lot of people just moving on past this one, but I do really think it's very strong. Again, there's a lot in here that could potentially be reused for people who don't care particularly about Spider-Man and just want more minifigures for their collection. Spider-Man India is a bit of a mixed bag because on the one hand, he is a very faithful representation of the character as he appears in Across the Spider-Verse. I really like this minifigure. I think that this is a fantastic design, and I think that that is captured very well in this particular collectible minifigure box. He's got this fantastic hairpiece, absolutely wonderful to show off the cool locks that Pavita has in the film. He looks so neat for that reason. There's just one thing that's missing from this. You'll notice that he's holding his accessory, which is a teacup. And that's fine because he has a rant in the film about chai and not calling it chai tea because chai means tea. You're saying tea. That doesn't make any sense. And that's a brilliant little reference to include in this minifigure. But I would have rather not had the teacup and instead had his diabolo or his yo-yo or whatever he has here, where he takes off his gauntlets and he uses them as an accessory and he uses that as a weapon to bop the bad guys. That would have been a really cool new element to have in LEGO form, and that I think is an intrinsic part of this character that is missing in its adaptation in minifigure form. Otherwise, this is a very solid minifigure. It's got very good printing. It's not the most detailed printing, but it absolutely matches the character as seen in the film. I don't feel like for that reason it's going to be a standout hit for anybody who doesn't particularly care about Across the Spider-Verse, but in addition to the teacup, it also has a second accessory, Spider-Cat, and there is absolutely no way that you can pass up on the joy that is Spider-Cat. Look at this. It's a little cat wearing a spider Spider-Man mask. Now this is not particularly accurate to the Spider-Cat that appears in Across the Spider-Verse, but I am not going to be docking any points from that because this is using a pre-existing element and it is an adorable little Spider-Cat. What is not to love? So while without this element this minifigure might have been a little bit disappointing because it doesn't have Spider-Man India's unique accessory, it absolutely wins points for having Spider-Cat. Anyway, Spider-Byte here, brilliant little colour scheme. They've gone for transparent arms and legs, so she's got a little bit of the transparent kind of holography look to her without it being too much and without it I guess straying into parts of the minifigure design that the LEGO group just can't quite get right in transparent form. The benefit of it being this way is, for example, you don't see the joins quite as keenly as you would see them otherwise if the entire thing were transparent. Certainly as she is, I really think that she is neat. I love the print. I love the fact that we've got so much detailed printing in addition to these transparent arms and legs. She comes with hair, but she also comes with her own helmet, which is a custom element, and then she's got a transparent data pad as well. So all in all, I think that this is a really nice one. I think that it might have limited uses for LEGO fans beyond things that are related to Spider-Man, unless you were to use it in a kind of a sci-fi setting, because she could very well be like a holographic friend, or she could be some kind of space person with this helmet. So there are some options there, but maybe you need to use your imagination a little bit. Either way, I do think that this is a pretty cool minifigure. And yeah, there are uses for her in other things beyond LEGO Spider-Man. It just depends on how flexible you feel like being. Speaking of minifigures that are a bit futuristic, a bit sci-fi, and a little bit transparent, we've got Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara, who has this brilliant plastic cape element, which I think is really, really nice. The printing on this one is one of my favourites in the entire series. It's up there for me with Spider-Punk, despite having a completely different aesthetic and design style. This character is very clean. His design makes use of the kind of half-tone comic book dots that you see in a bunch of different superhero comics, but also that you see in the Spider-Verse films as a deliberate art style, and I think that that works really well in capturing the 2099 Spider-Man costume in LEGO form, where printing is not necessarily always very adept at doing gradients, but if you use those dots then you can get a kind of a shape and a definition and a render to this that you wouldn't necessarily otherwise be able to create. The hairpiece is not new, but it works perfectly well. The head element has a vampire teeth on the back, which I think is fantastic. There is an additional head in the box to put on his mask, which is nice. But the other wonderful thing about this minifigure is the inclusion of Lila, his little AI assistant in hologram form. It's a little minifigure statuette or trophy, which has been made in transparent orange, the same as the base plates for these. And then she's got little heart eyes on her because Lila has little heart-shaped sunglasses on. Considering that Spider-Man 2099 is one of those minifigures that LEGO Marvel fans have been wanting for a very, very long time, and which may or may not have shown up in the past in some places, this is one that I definitely feel lives up to the hype. It's definitely a version of Spider-Man 2099 that I am completely satisfied with. Next up, we've got one that I think some people have considered quite throwaway, which is the Spider-Man Werewolf minifigure. I know that over on the Brick Fanatics website, Jack, who sometimes does videos for this YouTube channel as well, has made his list of these, ranking them from least interesting to the most interesting, and he's not particularly kind to Werewolf Spider-Man. I actually quite like this one. I think that this is a really neat design. I love the wolf head, which is really nice, and I love the kind of tattered printing that it has all over it, where you can see bits of the fur sticking out. It is a classic tail element that we've seen before, but in terms of the printing and the quality of this, no, this is not necessarily going to be anybody's favorite of these unless you're really, really into werewolves, but I do feel like there's more going on here than initially meets the eye. For example, you've got dual molded legs, but they're two different colors to represent that the Spider-Man werewolf has got one little spider booty still on and one of them has come off at some point, and I think that that's a nice little touch. I think all around the quality of the printing and the design here is absolutely top notch, even if maybe the source material is not the most interesting of of the bunch here. It's hard to imagine somebody getting a lot of use for this minifigure outside of a Spider-Man setting simply because of how Spider-Man it is. It's got all of that printing, and that is covering absolutely every element here. So I don't feel like this one is maybe necessarily going to be the strongest if you don't care about Spider-Man, but certainly if you do like Spider-Man, and if you've got all of the other minifigures like the key characters that you want to have, I don't think that this one is absolutely terrible. I do quite like it myself. I think in terms of the quality of the minifigure, it is absolutely fantastic, even if having a Werewolf Spider-Man is not perhaps quite as interesting as having Spider-Punk or Spider-Man 2099. Moving from a minifigure that really can only be used in a Spider-Man setting to one that can absolutely be used for something else, we've got Webslinger, where if you take off the mask Spider-Man head and you put on literally any other head, boom, you've got an instant cowboy, and there's nothing particularly Spider-Man related anywhere else on the minifigure. I mean, the poncho has a little bit of a spider design, but also you could get away with that not being a spider design if you don't want it to be. Otherwise, yeah, this minifigure is just a cowboy, and that's going to be great for people who really feel like they need more cowboy minifigures in their lives. One thing I've heard people say about this collectible minifigure series is it doesn't have a knight, and you know, the knight or the castle themed minifigure tends to disappear the quickest from store shelves whenever we get a series of these collectible minifigures. So it is a bit of a shame that there's no kind of Spider Knight related minifigure, but a Spider Cowboy, that's a pretty good consolation prize here. One thing that is slightly different to this from the source material is that in Across the Spider-Verse, the film, the Webslinger character has a mask which is just a bandana over his face, which has got the Spider-Man printing on. Here, this is the generic Spider-Man minifigure head that you would get in 100 different Spider-Man minifigures, and then you've just got that and a little red bandana over part of his face. It is not entirely accurate, but I think that for the purposes of this minifigure, it does the job just fine, and as said, it does mean that it makes a very easy swap if you don't want this to be a Spider-Man themed cowboy. The other thing that is in the box is definitely very much more useful as a spider-related character than anything else. It's Spider Horse. Who could not love this? This is absolutely fantastic. As with Spider-Cat, maybe not a huge number of uses outside of Spider-Man related things. However, it's just fantastic and absolutely adorable. Although I don't think that Webslinger is going to be riding this particular horse anywhere anytime soon because it is quite a young looking horse. Right, we've got two left now. Here is Cyborg Spiderwoman. This is a character which probably could have done with the big fig treatment given how huge and bulky she is in the film, but she's in the film for like 8 seconds total, so if you haven't actually memorized every detail of her design, this one's going to be perfectly fine too. This, I think, speaks to that classic problem that we have with a lot of minifigures, that it is difficult to show a bunch of different sizes and different body types in minifigure form, and sometimes you have a character that really should be absolutely massive that ends up just feeling kind of the same size as everybody else. This also being a character that doesn't have a huge amount of screen time in the film, Spider-Man fans might look at this and think, yeah, but I don't need that one. I'd rather have Spider-Man India or someone that I actually recognize a bit more. And that's fair enough. I don't think that that's the wrong attitude to have if you're just going at these with a desire to get your favorite few characters in minifigure form. But what I will say about this one is that as a design, as a Lego minifigure, she is absolutely fantastic. She's got so much going on. The printing is exquisite. The design and the detail here is just unparalleled. She's got dual molded legs. She's got printing on the one normal arm that she has in addition to the front and the sides of her legs. She's got printing on her back. She's got printing on her face. All of this is unique and very interesting. She's got this brilliant custom element that gives her like her face mask, and then also her very 80s style shoulder pad. And then on the other side, she's got a gun arm, which is an arm that we've seen in Lego form before, but then with a few little extra Lego pieces attached to that in order to give her a kind of a cannon. It doesn't look very much like the source material, if I'm being completely honest, but it is kind of pretty cool. I definitely think that there are people who are going to get a real kick out of this one. She's also got a Batman utility belt, and I can't not think of this as a Batman utility belt, which is very Rob Liefeld, very this kind of style of incredibly large, bulky, very pouched comic book characters. So I think that that is a fun inclusion. Now, earlier this year we got a Cyborg Spider-Man in a Dorling Kindersley book, which is by no means quite as detailed and interesting as this one, but it does mean that we have a Cyborg Spider-Man on the market at the same time now as a Cyborg Spider-Woman. I feel like if you've got one of these, you probably don't need the other unless you're really, really into Cyborg Spider people. I definitely feel like this is a cool looking minifigure, even if it's maybe not necessarily going to be everybody's top choice. Right, the one I have saved for last is either going to be your absolute favourite or a nothing minifigure to you, and that all depends on how much you enjoy the source material. I feel like for anybody who's not into Spider-Man, having a Spider-Man minifigure who's wearing a frilly pink nightgown is probably not going to do a huge amount for you, but for people who enjoy Peter B. Parker and his daughter Mayday, this is everything. This is the minifigure that caters to the tired dad LEGO fan community members more than anything else, because this is our tired dad Spider-Man. That is Peter B. Parker. He is a totemic character for a lot of us. A lot of us see ourselves in him, and this minifigure is absolutely perfect. You've got him, you've got the baby carrier, and you've got a little baby minifigure who is Mayday Parker. It's a shame that she doesn't have her big giant curls. Instead, she's wearing her little Spider-Man knitted mask, which is, I mean, that makes sense. I think it would be a bit much to hope for a big giant curly haired little extra head element here. That would be something unique for this minifigure and probably not get used anywhere else, but also would be quite difficult to fit into the baby carrier. So I can understand why they didn't go that route, but it's just a shame that we don't get that big curly mess. I really like the printing on the face here for Peter B. Parker. He's got two expressions. He's got that tired dad energy. He's got a little bit of stubble. He's got bags under his eyes, and he's got those big eyebrows. Looking at this one, I can think to myself, you know how everybody's got like the minifigure for themselves that they want to make? Like everybody wants to make themselves as a minifigure, and so you've probably got the ideal hair element for you, the ideal clothes picked out for you, and the ideal face for you. This is my ideal face element, because this, I think, I look at that face and I see myself. I just might need to make one slight adjustment, which is take off his hair. There we go. There's me. There's what I see in the mirror. As said, if you enjoy the character in the film, then this is going to be a minifigure that you absolutely definitely have to have. If you don't care about Across the Spider-Verse, or if you just don't connect with the tired dad character in the film, then this one can slip you by, and I don't think you're really going to miss it. That then is a rundown of all of the collectible minifigures in the new Across the Spider-Verse series. I think that these are all fantastic. If there is any one or two or three or four of these that you want to get, or you're looking to get a complete set without any duplicates, do remember that the Brick Search app will allow you to scan all of these. You've seen it in action in this video. You'll be able to scan very quickly with the camera on your phone. The app can do so much more beyond that, but it is really going to be useful if you're going to be going minifinger hunting on the 1st of September. Which of these collectible minifigures are you going to be picking up yourself? Let us know in the comments down below, and do all of the rest of the YouTube things. Give this video a thumbs up, hit subscribe and the notification bell. If you're going to be making any purchases from the LEGO website in the near future, do make sure that you use the affiliate link, which is down in the description, or the QR code that is currently on screen. They take you straight to the LEGO website. We get a percentage of the sale when you purchase through those links. Doesn't cost you a penny extra, but it helps to keep the lights on at Brick Fanatics. Speaking of which, you can go to brickfanatics.com for coverage of all things LEGO. As said, there is a link in the description to an article ranking all of these minifigures if you would like to know somebody else's thoughts on them, and you can also sign up to our newsletter so that you never miss anything LEGO related ever again. Thank you very much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Thwip, 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 thwip.